when I was doing this for a living, my company used a lot of drives. And this was a while ago when I won't show my age here, but we used a lot of drives. And I would set up two different scenarios. One, I'd have a drive where all the connection points for the drive were on one symbol. So basically I drew all my wires off of the drive, but it stayed in one drawing. So an example of that, I'm going to insert this particular drive right here. And I'm just going to randomly drop it down, let's say right here. And if you look at this already, notice that the pins have been predefined. I built the pin/terminal numbers, gave them a default value in the symbol when I created it. So when I insert it, they're automatically going to get populated. Remember, it's every single connection point. I can still give it a catalog number. And I get this like you normally would because I already have my terminal/pin numbers built into the symbol itself. And you still give it installation, location, whatever you want. I'll call this a Z-axis on the drive itself. And I pick OK. And this, again, it's one symbol. I'm not intending it to have child symbols that link back to here for this particular example. So at this point, I can insert some wires like you normally would. Then the other connection points for this symbol are located right here. So if everything stayed in the same drawing, you know, I could draw some more wires, let's say coming off of the connection points. And then maybe, you know, maybe that particular connector was going to another connector. So I'll just insert, just as an example on how it might get wired up. And typically I'd fill information in here just to save time. We're not going to. So that would be an example of, you know, just your basic parent symbol. No child symbols are going to be linked to it. You're going to show all the wiring in one drawing. And that's not uncommon. I'm not telling anybody not to do it that way. But another example might be where maybe I want to show the face of the drive with my three-phase wires in one drawing, but maybe I want to show this connector that's part of the drawing in a different drawing or in the same drawing, but I just wanted to show it somewhere else. So if that's the case, I'm going to do an example now where I'm going to insert basically the same symbol, but this is going to be a child symbol off of the parent. So in this case, I'm going to go back to my icon menu and I'll insert this particular drive. And this time, again, I'll just drop it in the middle of nowhere here. And notice this time, no pin information is predefined like it was in the previous one. So I'm going to go to my lookup. And I'll assign it a different catalog number. And notice that the pins automatically get populated. And there are only 3 pin/terminal numbers. And I'll give it same description, same location code. And again, this would be an example of I only want to show the 3. So I go back to my multiple bus, insert the wires once again. Now on this one, I still show this X6 connector that's on the drive, but it's only there for display only. There's no connection points right there. The only connection points I have is the A1, the A2, and A3. If I temporarily explode this symbol, you're going to see that, there are no connection points on this particular part of the symbol itself, like you see over here. Let me just undo here. So it's just the 3-phase wires, but I'm still displaying the whole drive. Now I'll come to a different drawing. Maybe I wanted to show that X6 connector from the drive on a different drawing. And it could still be going to a connector symbol. It could be going to, an IO card. It could be going to wherever that X6 connector from the drive, wherever it goes to. So this time, I'm going to go back and I'm going to insert my child symbol from the drive. And again, I'll just drop it down in the middle of nowhere. And it's no different. This is what I try to tell people. They're no different than a relay coil and contacts, right? My parent symbol for the relay coil was the coil. For the relay was the coil. My parent symbol for the drive was the face of the drive. My child symbol, and I just made the one, was that X6 connector. So just like you do with any parent-child relationship, pick your parent symbol, and notice that the pin numbers get filled in just like they did in the contacts on the relay. All the information for that matter, which is typical. All the information at the child symbol gets carried over to the parent. So I pick OK. And you can see that right here, it's cross-referencing to reference number 1421. Which is where this symbol lives. And then the child symbol portion is cross-referencing to reference number 1242, which is right here. So all that works the same. And again, if I wanted to drop down another symbol in a separate drawing, now let me throw my wires down first. That'll make it easier. And like I said, this particular X6 connector that's on the drive, the wires could be going not just to a connector, but, whatever other component that those wires might be going to. So in this case, I'll just drop another connector symbol down. Now, once again, because, when you think about it, yeah, big deal. All he did is link, one symbol with another just by giving it the same tag. Where, again, the intelligence comes into play. Let's say I lose my bearings and I try to insert another child symbol off of that drive. You're going to get the same alert as you do with a relay coil and its contacts. It's smart enough to know, hey, you only have the one child symbol on that drive. You can't use another one. So I would typically cancel here. And then if I did have another setup where I had two child symbols on the same drive, I would use that setup. So now the question is, how did I get here? You start with the symbol. And again, if I just temporarily explode this. Actually, let me just copy it real quick so I leave that intact. And I'll just copy it over to here. So I'm going to explode it to start with. And as I mentioned, like with this one, all the connection points for that X6 connector are already there. On the child symbol, they're not. So when I created the parent-child setup, I just basically copied this symbol like I did on this one, exploded it, and I erased the connection points that are associated to it. But I left, everything to display. This is just generic single line text right here, before I created the symbol, because it's just about the display. That's it. Now, when you go to create the symbol itself, and I'm not going to go through all the gyrations of, the symbol builder, but just to point a couple things out here. If I select my objects, pick a base point, it's going to be a horizontal parent. And the type, and this is something I, go over in class pretty hard too. And some of you might know this already. A lot of you probably do. This particular list is not a complete list of all the tables that are in the catalog database. This list dictates the attribute choices you're going to get in the next dialog box during the symbol creation. Now, since I don't have a choice for drives, I can't pick drives right here to create a drive type of symbol. And this is kind of a side note. Anytime you look at this list and you're trying to create a symbol and you don't see the category on here that you're expecting, first thing you should do is go check for a list of all the tables. So as an example, if I didn't know, I want to be able to check to see if there is a drive table out there. And one place to do that is the catalog browser itself. I had my catalog browser on. There it is. And you can see, that there is an actual drive table. So I don't have to create a new table, which we encourage people to do. You can create new tables all day long. We always say keep them at 2 characters. Makes life easier on the symbol. But the point is, I've got a drive table. So again, once I go to create the symbol, the main reason why I bring this up is you're going to be creating parent symbols that might be, not on that original list in the symbol builder. Because the whole point of this is, thinking outside of the box with some different types of symbols that you might use for a parent symbol or even a child symbol. And that's why I bring the tables up. So when you do create the symbol itself, once again, I'll go back to selecting objects, picking a base point. I'm going to leave it on generic. And the key here, now this is already filled in because it's already built into the symbol, but normally, when you go to generic, your family attribute is going to be blank. So you want to make sure that you put the table from the catalog database in the family attribute field. And that's so important for those that don't know, because when you hit that lookup button to go assign it, you want it to look at the right table. And then the tag, you can make it anything you want. Some people will keep it whatever the name of the table is, but you don't have to, as you can see here. And then the other caution, when you do go to create, a different type of symbol, let's say for a parent symbol, this is when you pick generic, it doesn't matter what you filled in on the symbol. Like the family, I had to type this in at one point, DR. But since I chose generic in that first dialog box, this is still going to come up as DV. So when you use generic, you still want to make sure you pick the proper table, because it's so important to the symbol naming convention. So this is what I did to create it. And then I just put my own spin on the symbol name, like, as you know, or I'm assuming some of you know, when you create a custom symbol, you can put your own spin on the symbol name, and that's where I would get into the detail of the symbol name. But again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you go generic on a symbol, you still want to make sure that you hit the catalog lookup in the last dialog box of the symbol so you can apply the proper table, not just leave it as DV. So let me get out of that. So that's how I went about creating the actual symbol. And you're not done at that point. A lot of it is about the catalog. Like I just showed you with the relay, to really make it intelligent and not just have two symbols cross-referencing each other. If I go back to edit here, when I added this catalog number, once again, coil pins, think of this, think of this as parent pins or parent terminal numbers. So when I set this up, I still wanted the drive to be my parent symbol, but only show the three-phase portion. So that's why I left the category, once again, just like you would with a relay. This is not an open or closed contact. And then you just fill in the actual pin/terminal numbers. But for the child symbols, unlike the relay, this is going to be set to undefined as well. And this is where, I get a lot of questions about feedback, support, whatever, when people are trying to do different things with the parent-child relationship. If you have a child symbol other than a normally open, a normally closed, a Form C, or a convertible, you leave it as undefined, because it's not any of those symbols, but it could be any symbol you want. So you leave it as undefined, And that's where I plugged in the terminal / pin numbers. I'm just going to cancel out of here. So that's why when I initially inserted the parent, it automatically just populated the pin / terminal numbers on the parent, because that's what I defined them as. And then on the child, here's the 1 through 6. You just saw that in the catalog number under the pin list column. It was undefined because it's not the contact. And then you just fill in the terminal / pin numbers to go to whatever symbol that you want. So that's my whole point here is you don't just have to, parent-child relationships are not just about relay coils and contacts.